Hello everybody. This is going to be a video about how to save money using space heaters because today I've written a huge article on this topic and I have done so much research, much more than you can find anywhere online. And in this video, I want to present you the results. Of course, I try to keep everything as short as possible so you don't get bored. So the quick answer is yes, you can save money using space heaters. However, you have to reduce your central heating's temperature settings by more than, say, 6 to 8 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 4.4 degrees Celsius. If you can't reduce your central heating settings that much, then probably it won't be worth it. So let's have a deep dive on how I got to these results. So first of all, what causes high heating bills? Well, your heating bill is mostly affected by the temperature setting of your central heating. This could be a big oil heater or a big gas heater or a wood stove in your home. And depending on the resource, depending on whether it uses wood, natural gas, oil, or propane, it causes a different heating bill. But generally, the central heating is the major factor in determining your biggest expense at home. So a lot of people think that they can just reduce the central heating's temperature setting and then supply heat using space heaters. And that is totally fine. I'm doing that myself. But there has to be some clue at which point does it actually get worth it to reduce your central heating and how much do you have to reduce it. So I did the research for that. According to WWF, which is an environment organization, you can cut your heating costs by 10% for each degree Celsius that you reduce your heating settings. So that's 5.6% if you reduce your heating settings by 1 degree Fahrenheit. Okay, so you set down your central heating settings and your heating bill is cut by 5.6%. Great. Now, this buffer room, the 5.6%, the save money you could use to run a space heater, and maybe that space heater will be cheaper. But this actually gets really difficult because space heaters are very expensive. An average space heater costs about $54 per month to run. If you have an electricity rate of 14 cents per kilowatt hour, and currently due to the inflation, due to the rising prices, that's rarely the case. That's the latest average US number, but I personally assume it's already much higher than that. So let's still stick to that number, and let's say that you run a space heater for 3 months in the winter time, in let's say November, December, January, or whatever, the 3 coldest months of the year. Then it would cost you around $162 to run a single space heater. Now, this money you would have to make up by reducing your central heating bill. And I've done the calculations for that to find out how much you have to reduce the heat of your central heating to be able to afford running a space heater. And for a single degree temperature reduction, you can afford to run no space heaters at all. The savings won't be sufficient. If you reduce your central heating settings by 2 degrees, you will be able to run a space heater. However, the savings from reducing your central heating by 2 degrees is $166, and the cost of running one space heater in the cold season is $162. So you will only save $4. So that's not really worth it. It only really gets worth it when when you reduce your central heating by more significant numbers. So I've already also tested it with 4 degrees Fahrenheit reduction. Then you have an average savings of your central heating by $315, and you have space heater expenses if you run one space heater still the same $162. So that would be a buffer of around $153 that you save each year by reducing your central heating by 4 degrees Fahrenheit and running one space heater. But still, that might not really be worth it. Depends on your situation, of course. It only really becomes worth it if you reduce your central heating by 8 degrees Fahrenheit, because then your yearly savings will be $566 on your heating bill. And from that $566, you would be able to run 3 space heaters that are 1,500 watts for 8 hours a day over 3 months, which is already a lot. And you'd still save some money, because the 3 space heaters would cost less than your central heating savings. And now it gets interesting, because usually you don't need to have 3 space heaters on full power running in 3 different rooms. Now, if you reduce your heat by 8 degrees Fahrenheit, if you reduce your central heating by 8 degrees Fahrenheit in your entire house, and you are alone, then you'd need just 1 space heater instead of 3. And this means that by running just 1 space heater and reducing your central heating settings, you will save $404 every year. And that's already a lot. That's already a significant cut of your expenses. And it's really helpful with the current inflation, with the price rises. $404 is already a lot. Now, if you have a family, or if you have elderly people at home, or whatever your situation is, 1 space heater might not be enough to keep your entire family warm, or it depends on your situation. Usually you need at least 2 space heaters. And if you cut your central heating's temperature setting by 8 degrees Fahrenheit and use 2 space heaters and run them for the coldest 3 months of the year, then you will save $242 on your heating bill. And of course, that's still good money. And with $242, you could already buy a Christmas present, or you could use that money to reinvest into, let's say, insulation of your home, or whatever. You could do something else with it. So that's already a great thing. And so that's the way you really save money using space heaters. You have to cut down the central heating settings significantly. And according to my calculations, that's 6 to 8 degrees Fahrenheit, or around 4 degrees Celsius. And then you supply heat with 1 or 2 space heaters around your house. You can also use 3 or 4 space heaters, but then you should run them on moderate settings, because otherwise you will probably end up paying more than just running your central heating on higher settings. Okay, I hope that made sense for you so far. Now, I spent some time thinking about whether it makes sense to save money that way. Well, of course, you get some money, and everything sounds nice at first, but you always have to make sure that your house is at a certain base temperature, because otherwise mold will grow. Because the colder a home is, the higher the moisture that will build up there. And at some point, at some temperature, it will be impossible to get moisture out of your home. I've seen that in some foreign countries where they don't heat sufficiently, and it's always wet inside, as wet as outdoors, and that's not what you want to do. You always want to keep your base temperature in your home at a certain level. And that level is, in my personal opinion, that's not really a scientifically based thing. In my personal opinion, you should keep your base temperature at least 64 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 18 degrees Celsius. For some people, that might be uncomfortable. For some people, that might be comfortable enough. You have to decide that for yourself, but that's the temperature that will definitely keep your home dry in the winter time. So that's the minimum you should keep. And if you want to save money using space heaters, you should not reduce your temperature below that. Never reduce your temperature below that, because the cost of fixing a broken home, of removing mold, and also all the health issues, they are not worth it at all. Then better spend the money on properly heating your home, even if it's that expensive, even if it's that hard, but it's the better choice for you personally. Also, that means, since you always have to keep your home at 64 degrees Fahrenheit, that it's only worth it to save money using space heaters if your central heating is already at a comfortable level of, let's say, 72 degrees Fahrenheit or higher, because only then you will be able to make that 6 to 8 degrees Fahrenheit cut and use space heaters instead. If your central heating is already set at 64 degrees Fahrenheit, then you should not cut that lower and supply heat with space heaters, because that will be too cold in general for your home, and the heat distribution will be too uneven. Some rooms will be really warm thanks to the space heaters, but others will be too cold and will grow mold. So that's not what you should do. Also, you should consider that you might have a family, you might have elderly people at home, you might have kids, and yeah, always keep a certain base temperature. Okay, so that's the way to save money using space heaters, by cutting the temperature by 6 to 8 degrees Fahrenheit of your central heating, and then supplying heat in the rooms that you use with 1 or 2 space heaters. You can also use 3, but then it's not that worth it. With 1 space heater, you will save over $400 of heating cost, and with 2 space heaters, you will still save around $240, $250 of heating costs per year. So that's a great thing. With 3 space heaters, you will almost break even. That's the way to save money using space heaters. However, there's a better alternative, I would say, because with space heaters, you always have the hassle of bringing them with you, or you have to scatter them around your home. And the central heating is designed to keep your entire home warm. Space heaters are not. So you can save money using them, but they are not the first choice. In my opinion, the first choice should always be that you keep the insulation of your home intact. And if your home has improper insulation, for example, if the walls penetrate the cold from outside, or if heat leaves through the roof or the attic, then you should fix that first, because that's the one major improvement that you should do with your home to secure a long-term cut of heating expenses for you, because you insulate just once, and then the heating expenses will be lower continuously. You don't have to adjust anything there. You don't have to maintain insulation. It will always stay intact. Maybe it will degrade after decades. Who knows? But in general, you don't need to maintain insulation. So always make sure that your home's insulation is set up well before you do other optimizations. Other optimizations, such as heating with space heaters, might work as well, or it will work as well, but always do the things first that really matter, and insulation matters when you want to heat efficiently. So that would be my take on optimizing your heating bill. If you're not sure where to start, or you are not able to insulate your home right now, or you don't have the funds or whatever, then just turn down your central heating, supply with space heaters, and in the rooms that you use, put a blanket below to put a blanket in front of the door to cover the door gaps. And that's already a big step in insulation that prevents cold air from leaking inside the room, and adds a significant part of insulation to your room. And it's for free. Anyone can do it. There's no handyman knowledge required, no installation work. It's just putting a blanket in front of the door to keep warm air inside. Of course, you have to vent sometimes, because a heated room with no air exchange will stink. But yeah, it's the best thing that you can do for now. Anyways, I hope this video was helpful. If you want to have a look at all the numbers and all the calculations, I've done a lot of them. You can have a look at the article in the description down below. Also, I will link the safest space heater and my personal favorite space heater to run in the winter time. It's a very reliable model, an oil-filled radiator that you can run all the time. It's not a safety hazard. It has no exposed heating elements. Yeah, check it out in the description down below. If you want to use space heaters to save money, then grab this one. Actually, it doesn't matter which one you grab, but this is just the model that I recommend. So yeah, have a look, and I hope this video was helpful. Check the full blog post with all the calculations down below. And please subscribe to my channel if you want to get more heating advice, more air conditioning advice, anything about saving money on your heating bills, your electricity bills, your utility bills, whatever. And ask me any questions in the comments down below. I always try to answer everything that I get, and leave a thumbs up. Okay, that's it from my side, and see you next time. Bye.